everyone, and welcome to the STEM Podcast. Today we have Nick and Keagan. They were 2023 Old Collegians. They're here to talk about what they're doing after school. So first question is, can you both explain what you've been studying and what inspired you to choose this degree?
Yeah, I'll go first. Thank you guys so much for having us on.
You're welcome.
I'm currently studying medicine at University of Adelaide. So I think the formal title is a Bachelor of Medical Studies, Doctor of Medicine. It's a 6-year undergraduate degree where eventually we'll graduate, become interns, and start the journey of being a doctor and helping people. That's what I've been studying. I've really been enjoying it. Currently 2 years down, which time flies pretty quickly because I'm already a third of the way done.
Yeah.
To answer the second half of that question of what motivated me to choose this area, I guess that's quite a big question and something that has been quite a journey in itself. I come from a family of two doctors as parents, and I guess growing up I got to see and have insight into what that life was like and what they were doing for work, and that was something that always really interested me in both like the lifestyle of, this was something that they cared so deeply about and something that they devoted so much time to, and not just like their work and their craft, but to their patients as well. And to have that level of care and, like continuity, which is something that I really thought was quite admirable in a job. And then, so I guess growing up, I got to see that. And then as I, was growing up and exploring my own interests, I was, quite a STEM orientated kid. So always enjoyed my maths, my science, always enjoyed like health, the human body. I toyed with the ideas of like finance and engineering and heaps of different uni courses, just being like, what's interesting? But at the end of the day, I just kept coming back to medicine because I thought I just had this deep curiosity and love of learning and, really like wanted to seek out knowledge and I just thought that was the degree for me. So yeah, I guess that's why I'm in it. And yeah, there's a lot I don't know, and I've still got a lot to learn. But right now I'm just enjoying the journey and seeing where it takes me.
Nice. And how about you, Keegan?
So I'm studying biomedical engineering at Flinders Uni. And yeah, I suppose kind of in the name, but a combination of biology, medicine, and engineering. Where that came from, I suppose probably my oldest passion, or the first part of that, was medicine. That's what I'd really sort of enjoyed and thought I'd enjoy into the future. And like Nick, I had a parent. Nick has two. I have a parent in medicine. So I suppose that's a really good exposure and a good way to see what that career is like, and also just sort of started that passion for helping people and health and anatomy and the whole human body, just how incredible it is. And then throughout school, biology was obviously part of that. That's the biggest thing I can draw to. And then also doing anatomy and physiology as a uni subject in year 12, that also really reaffirmed for me medicine is something I want to do in biology. And I suppose the engineering aspect, again, throughout school, all the STEM subjects I really enjoyed and found them to be very interesting, and just something, again, biology just worked for my head. So did sort of engineering, and that just really clicked for me, and it was something I really loved doing, from D&T to more like the more sciences and all of that side. So I suppose that's the motivation there. Choosing that particular path was not, it wasn't always my number one. It was a bit of a journey to get there. I was actually just reflecting on this recently with Amy, currently going through sort of a similar time of year or process. Is I had so many different options or degrees in my head. I just went for a walk and sat under a tree and made a pros and cons list, and that's sort of what it came down to. Not that that was the final choice. It was a bit deeper than that, but yeah, I mean, I've been loving it, and I'm very happy with that choice, and everything that motivated me to take that path.
Yeah, and to go on from that, Nick, did you always want to choose the degree that you did, or did you change your mind a couple times?
As I sort of mentioned in the first answer, like there were times where I was unsure of what I wanted to do. And honestly, yeah, there are still times that I am unsure of what I want to do. I think, Keegan and I are both 20 to think that we've got our whole life mapped out. Some I think is crazy and can also be a bit ignorant to think like that everything's working towards working in a tight schedule. So yeah, I mean the easy answer to that is just no. I didn't always know this is what I wanted to do. But similar to what Keegan was saying, it's really, I think, the journey of like self-exploration and like really figuring out what you want to do, which leads you ultimately to like where you want to go and, how you'll find success in any measure of, and how you measure success in your life. So yeah, like I think really once I did set my mind on medicine though, it was more of a question of, okay, it's quite a competitive degree. How am I going to get into it? And then like not a matter of if I get in, but then when. So exploring things like undergraduate, postgraduate. Those are the two big main branches. And then obviously then like, okay, if I do postgraduate, what would I be doing? Is it better to do breadth and to do a degree that, may not have the greatest like link to postgraduate med, but then something I might be more interested in, or do I do like a health and science degree, which is a common pathway into postgraduate medicine? So yeah, that's I guess they were all my thoughts at the time and things that, similar to Keegan, I had to figure out like, what are the pros, what are the cons, and also what aligns with me and what I want to do.
Okay, and what has been the most surprising thing about your degrees?
I suppose what's probably surprised me the most is how real world it is. Like how just it's very much, you spend a lot of time sort of outside the classroom. Scotch does do an amazing job of that, obviously. But just being at uni, the amount of opportunity outside, like even for some classes having gone into Flinders Medical Centre, which is obviously right there if you're at Flinders. And I suppose also the other things outside, like, could almost call them extracurriculars, like conferences, etc. Like you're very much your own person now, so you can go find those other things outside the classroom, but a lot of it is delivered to you, and just some of the equipment we've got to use and things we've been exposed to are, just you can see the application straight away.
Nice. And what about you, Nick?
Yeah, I think following on from what Keegan was saying, I think when you leave school, like school's a very nurturing environment, and you think, I'm going to lose a lot of that. You gain a lot of autonomy, but then you might lose a lot of structure. But I think, I was really quite surprised of how many opportunities there were at university. Different clubs, different, different, what's the word? Like summer internships, research programs for medicine. And all the extracurricular activities that you can do, I think was something that I wasn't expecting, and I thought that was something I'd have to let go of when leaving school. And also, I guess the surprising part for me has just been like learning what uni's about, learning, once you gain a bit of that autonomy leaving school, really like growing into it and thinking, okay, like how can I make the most of this? Because in a sense, you're a young adult stepping into the world and, learning how to apply yourself, and, there's no teacher running after you for a missing assignment is something that you need to get used to. following from what Keegan was saying, I do think Scotch sets you up quite well for that. You know, there've been challenging times or times where you're like, geez, this was not like school. You know, this is something that's completely different. So it's not surprising. I think there's just like learning curves, but that's, you know, part of growing up and, you know, learning how to fend for yourself in a sense.
Yeah. And following on from that, what advice would you give to students who want to study medical or health sciences at university? I guess start with Keegan.
All right. It's pretty hard to fully understand what that degree and what I suppose a life after that is going to look like. But there are small things you can kind of do to start to understand and see if you do like it. Obviously, biology is a part of that, especially if you're looking at health and medical sciences. So I would recommend doing that, seeing if you like that. Chemistry has aspects. I know there's other classes at Scotch that have aspects, and of course it's now becoming, I think, sort of a more popular thing to do a university subject at some point over your schooling. So if you can do that and kind of get a taste of uni, especially in health science, like if you want to do health science, don't go and do like a business degree. Unless you are interested in that, no disrespect to that. But if you're looking at health sciences, that's a really good way to sort of get a little taste. So do something in health science and see if you like it. Because it's really hard to know. But try get a taste, take the opportunities that you have. Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, I think just building on what Keegan said, do subjects that align to your interests. You know, the fields of medical and health sciences have a big emphasis on like education and, you know, the pursuit of education as well. So, you know, not to say like you have to be someone who, you know, wants to learn everything, but just like understanding that, yeah, there normally is a lot of content and that you are someone with an inquisitive and curious nature who, you know, wants to learn about these things, and making sure at the end of the day, medical and health sciences, it's a human connection at the forefront. At the end of the day, you're helping people, often people in compromised situations. You know, like if everyone was healthy, hopefully, you know, hospitals wouldn't exist. So, but that's not the case. So yeah, like at the end of the day, you might find the content interesting, but it's really about helping people and, you know, trying to build that community and help your community. And I think that's an important aspect.
Yeah, of course.
Just as a follow-up on question from that and knowing whether you're interested in or not, do you think work experience plays a large role in knowing what degree you want to do?
Yes, I really think it's something everybody should do. It is hard. Like I was sort of fortunate that, or both of us had parents in medicine, so we were sort of able to get work experience in that. And I understand for a lot of people it's hard, but if you have connections, use your connections. Scotch is a great community. There's many parents in medical health sciences. If you want to do that, take advantage of those. Go do some work experience in that, or anything. Do work experience in medicine and then go try something else if that's your interest as well. I do think work experience is very important, and just an amazing way to understand what you're getting into, I suppose.
Yeah, I think taking opportunities to really explore the fields that you're interested in is a really important and like eye-opening way to gain early insight into them. So things like work experience, even little things like maybe aligning your SHE task or your AIF into something that you actually want to consider for the future. Like little things like that aren't huge, but if you're genuinely interested in it, well, then it makes the assignment so much more easy to write. I remember doing that a few times. So yeah, just thinking of the late night study sessions. But yeah, like I think that's what I'd say. Just, you know, if you're passionate about it, try and implement it in little ways, but obviously maintain a balance as well. Like it's important to spend time with your mates and, keep up your other extracurricular activities as well.
To end off on a little bit of a high, what's one myth about university or post-school study that you want to debunk?
Yeah, so I think the big myth about uni is that it's like really hard, or there's heaps of sleepless nights, or you just like, especially in med, like, oh, you got to be studying 24/7. Like, yeah, there's absolutely like times where you need to study and sit down at the books, but I honestly think I've probably got better work-life balance now and better time management now than what I was at school. I think that's probably something that it's a skill I've had to learn by myself as well. At school, it's sort of done for you where, you rock up and in 45-minute increments, you focus on a different subject where, when you're by yourself and you got the whole day, you're like, whoa, how do I best utilize this to not have too much wasted time? So I think that was the big thing for me. Like, it's not all study. That there's a lot of fun. Medicine's a great course, great culture. I found that there's been a lot of like inter-year level like community as well. So I know at school sometimes you feel like you're a bit segregated by age and by year, whereas I feel like as you leave that, you really feel like you're just part of this one big community of people who are on this journey together. Yeah, I think that's my myth debunked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would kind of support what Nick says in that the work-life balance is that you do have, just a lot more autonomy, and it's completely up to you. Even timetable selection is, I know for med it's a bit stricter, but for like a health science or biomed engineering, you choose your classes. You choose when they are. You can have until 6 p.m. or starting at 9 a.m. or if you don't like waking up early, that's fine as well. There's so much flexibility, and with that, there's so much to choose what you do around uni. So yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's easy to get a balance. You have to push for that because nobody's pushing you. You have to push to maintain a balance, but there's time for you to do that. There's a lot of time. Because it is, you didn't need to study, but it's also it's not too bad. And yeah, I suppose another sort of myth or another I think common conception sort of we have, kind of touching on a previous point as well, is I don't think you need to know what you want to do after school. I just think that's insane to know where you want to be in 40 years. I think if you spoke to most of the parents around school, they are not where they thought they would be, or they took a different path, or the degree they first did, they ended up in something different, or they used it in a different way. And that is kind of how life will go, is you won't be where you thought you were. So don't expect to know. Like even right now, I'm wearing a t-shirt that I got from Adelaide Uni Open Day, and I ended up at Flinders because I was so unsure. I switched my preference like 5 or 6 times over the course of like a month, just because I was so unsure, and that's kind of fine. I mean, I very much am enjoying my choice now, and I'm glad I made that choice. But you don't have to know what that first choice is. You can move around, but yeah, best way to sort of know roughly where you want to go is taking opportunities and getting early experience in those fields. But yeah, don't feel pressure to know exactly what you want to do or where you want to go, or what degree you want to do. It's just, that's not going to happen. Yeah,
I think if I can just add on that, like, Keegan and I both do a little bit of tutoring, and one of the things I always say to, year 11 and 12 students is just try your best. Like, there's no harm from, trying your best in year 11 and 12, not to, like, and who's going to judge you for it? Because, at the end of the day, these are 2 years that, in the big scheme may not mean much, but if you want to give it your all, then who's to say you can't? And at the end of the day, if you do give it your all, you've shown yourself that you can do it and you can achieve something that you may thought you couldn't have. And yeah, it's a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride that I think a lot of people, may not think they have in themselves. So yeah.
All right. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys for having us.